But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. When you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back.
Arnold Schwarzenegger has never been the type to walk quietly into a room. So when he appeared on The View, people expected a big presence, but what unfolded went far beyond the typical Hollywood charm. This wasn't a movie star promoting his next project or a politician spinning talking points. This was a man with a mission, armed with decades of experience, gratitude, and unshakable conviction, and he was ready to let everyone hear it, even if it meant making the hosts squirm in their own chairs. From the opening moments, viewers could sense this was not going to be just another soft, daytime interview. This was about to be a storm. Arnold began with a story only he could tell. He spoke of landing in America as a young man, 21 years old, with nothing but a dream and the relentless drive to make it real. His words weren't scripted nostalgia. They were charged with a raw, lived sincerity that stunned even Whoopi Goldberg into silence. "I came here with nothing, and look what I've built," he declared. The studio, usually filled with friendly chatter and applause lines, went quiet, as though everyone instinctively knew that what was coming next wouldn't be easy to hear.
You are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that.
The panel leaned forward, expecting Arnold to bask in the glow of his own success story. But instead, he shifted tone like a weightlifter suddenly slamming down a barbell. He reminded the audience and the hosts that coming to America is a privilege, not a loophole to exploit. Immigrants, he insisted, have a responsibility to respect the law and give back to the nation that gives them opportunity. The words cut like steel, reverberating through the set. Sunny Hostin's posture stiffened, her lips tightening as if bracing for impact. The weight of Arnold's conviction was impossible to ignore. He laid it bare. When you come to someone's country, you behave like a guest. When you walk into someone's home, you respect their rules, their order, their traditions. That was the foundation of his journey, and the foundation, he argued, that too many were forgetting. The crowd hesitated between clapping and staying quiet, unsure whether to cheer or sit stunned, but Arnold didn't wait for validation. He pressed forward with the determination of a man who had carried this message for decades. Joy Behar tried to steer things back to safer waters with statistics and talking points, but Arnold swatted them aside. "This isn't about numbers," he said sharply. "It's about respect for the law." His tone was firm, deliberate, each syllable landing like a hammer strike. The audience shifted in their seats. Whoopi tried to break the tension with a quip, but Arnold wasn't playing games. He had locked in, unwilling to dilute his truth with the show's trademark banter. "You don't trash the country that gave you everything," he thundered. "You protect it." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Suddenly, the studio wasn't just another talk show set. It was a battleground of ideals, and Arnold had seized control.
Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world and this is the land of opportunity. But you have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
He continued, weaving his personal journey into a larger point. Every success he'd achieved, his bodybuilding triumphs, blockbuster films, political career, even the family he had built, was rooted in the opportunities America had given him. And because of that, he argued, immigrants had a duty to give back, whether through volunteering, supporting communities, or simply living with respect and accountability. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a demand. Sonny finally fired back, defending immigrants as hardworking and unfairly targeted. Arnold listened, but didn't flinch. His response came swift, sharp, and unyielding. He distinguished between those who followed the legal process and those who broke it, his voice leaving no room for ambiguity. Some in the audience erupted in applause while others sat in uneasy silence. The divide was palpable, and the tension thickened as Arnold pressed harder. Joy leaned forward again with data and anecdotes, but Arnold brushed it aside. He wasn't interested in twisting statistics. He was interested in truth. Respect the process, follow the rules, and you will succeed, he declared. But if you cheat, you will fail. The audience buzzed with a mix of applause, gasps, and murmurs. The hosts, who usually guided the conversation with ease, were suddenly the ones struggling to keep up.
But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can. Keep things clean.
Then came the moment that no one in the studio, or the millions watching later, would forget. Arnold accused the show itself of hypocrisy, of only platforming voices that aligned with their politics while shutting down dissent. You invite people to talk, he said, his voice rising with authority, but only if they say what you want to hear. Gasps echoed through the audience as Arnold's words struck like a sledgehammer. Whoopi froze, Joy glanced down, Sonny pursed her lips, and the silence in the room became deafening.
And to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back.
Arnold didn't let up. He pushed further, calling out the culture of selective tolerance, the idea that disagreement must equal hostility. That's not dialogue, he said sharply. That's control. The crowd erupted again, some clapping furiously, others shaking their heads, but no one could deny the force of his presence. Sonny tried to pivot to race, an attempt to shift the framing of his words, but Arnold immediately clarified. His message, he said, had nothing to do with ethnicity. It was about respect, accountability, and gratitude, principles that applied no matter where someone came from. The steadiness of his delivery left the panel with no easy counter. As the conversation shifted toward leadership, Whoopi attempted to regain control with a polished question about California politics. But Arnold transformed it into another masterclass in responsibility. He spoke about the importance of working with local, state, and federal leaders, not as opponents, but as partners.
Don't forget, there's 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing.
They're less likely to commit crimes.
And a lot of what's happening right now is people are getting snatched who shouldn't be snatched out of the country. People who have visas, people who have all those things. So we want all the right people. We don't want people who are doing bad stuff.
But they are less likely. Immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes in this country than actually American-born citizens. And the other thing I just wanted to say say is that Governor Newsom did not ask for the National Guard to come to, the federal government to come to California. There are 9,000 local law enforcement officers in California.
His voice carried the calm authority of someone who had been there, who had held the reins of power and understood the weight of real governance. "You don't lead with slogans," he declared. "You lead by fixing problems." It was a direct rebuke to the culture of empty catchphrases, and the audience nodded in agreement. When Sonny tried once more to inject rehearsed talking points, Arnold countered with lived experience, volunteering, community service, building programs without expecting anything in return. His words carried proof, not theory, and his conviction never wavered. He reminded the audience that America was built on sacrifice, not shortcuts, and that everyone had a duty to contribute rather than complain. By now, the tension in the studio was electric. The audience was alive, reacting with bursts of applause and murmurs of disbelief. The host's smiles were strained, their composure tested, as Arnold's grip on the conversation only grew stronger. He compared being in America to being a guest in someone's home. You respect the rules, you contribute, you don't leave chaos behind. The analogy was simple but devastating, leaving the host scrambling for words. Then, with unrelenting force, Arnold turned his attention directly to the credibility of The View. He accused the panel of pushing agendas instead of fostering honest conversations.
If you were governor right now of California, how would you be handling the ongoing crisis that the state's facing?
Well, I think the most important thing is when you are in a leadership position like that, is that you are inclusive and that you work together with everybody. And so it means that you have to work together with local government, the state government, and the federal government. They have to work together rather than fighting each other. Fighting each other's agendas and all of that stuff, that doesn't do good to anybody.
If you only invite people to talk so you can silence them, he warned, that's not journalism. That's propaganda. The audience erupted in cheers, and the studio felt like it was on the verge of collapse under the weight of his words. He leaned toward Whoopi, his voice calm but unyielding. "You've had decades of influence. Are you using it to make people think or to tell them what to think?" The challenge was impossible to deflect. The silence that followed was heavy, thick with a recognition the panel couldn't escape. Arnold pressed further, warning of the dangers of a culture where disagreement is punished instead of debated. "That's not discussion," he said with finality. "That's control." His words echoed like a verdict, and the audience roared once again.
The National Guard is under the governor's supervision.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, like for instance, when the National Guard was sent to Iraq during the Iraqi war, I was not the one that said, "Oh yeah, go to Iraq." The Bush administration came and said, "We need those people."
They came
and
to you.
They came to us, and we need the resources, we need the equipment, we need the weapons, we need the vehicles to ship to Iraq, and then they ship
It's the
to
coordination.
Iraq. So
It's the
that's why I
coordination.
say it is very important that we work together.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who is asking whom. The bottom line is we work together in order to solve the problem.
Yeah.
The hosts sat quiet, unable to regain their footing. As the segment neared its end, Arnold delivered one final blow. He reminded the panel and the millions watching that America owes nothing to anyone who comes here expecting shortcuts. Opportunity is earned, not given. Respect the rules, follow the process, and the doors will open. Ignore them and the consequences are inevitable. The clarity of his message was undeniable. The audience leapt to their feet, delivering a standing ovation that thundered through the studio. The hosts, usually the ones in control, were left speechless, their carefully scripted authority dismantled in real time. Arnold didn't wait for more applause. He simply nodded, stood up, and walked off the stage, leaving behind a silence that said more than words ever could. Within minutes, clips of the exchange exploded online. Social media lit up with praise, criticism, debates, and endless replays of Arnold's fiery words. Hashtags trended, commentators weighed in, and millions of viewers declared it the moment The View was finally forced to face the truth. For once, the panel wasn't dictating the conversation. Arnold Schwarzenegger was. And the message he left behind was one that could not be silenced, spun, or forgotten.